ahead and get started. First up, we have center Brandon Yates. Questions for Brandon? Greg?
So Brendan, start with just the offensive line season as a whole. What have you guys done well? What have you still need to try to improve on as you get into the last 3 games?
For us right now, we're playing extremely hard. And we got an offensive line. They're playing extremely hard. They're playing through the whistle, finishing blocks, doing all the right things. Things we need to work on for sure is just communication when it gets to those high-stakes situations and critical errors in big-time points in the game. You know what I mean? The run game, sometimes it's been like one guy messing up, 4 guys doing the right thing. As an offensive line, you got to have 5 guys on the same page doing the right things every single time for the run game to be very good. So just here and there is just one guy messing up and it's just be creating some critical errors and critical times in the game.
Get that to Saturday. What went? Obviously, you guys didn't run the ball as well as you normally do. What were the issues Saturday?
It just came down to communication and critical errors. Like we come down to 3 plays where one guy was messing up, or one guy wasn't doing the right thing, or one guy didn't have the right discipline in that right situation, that right play. So it looks bad on when you see it, but it's really only one guy not doing the right thing. It could be the other guy. When we talk about the run game, it's not just the offensive line and running backs; it's the all 11. And like some guys might not run off, or we might have a right tackle miss, do an overstep on the technique, and guy beats him inside. Like it's really just one small thing. It was more like we beat ourselves more than they beat us in critical situations in the game.
Another odd front. I mean, that seems.
Say again.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
Another odd front. This is the 4th straight game that you got an odd front. What do you got to do to? I mean, obviously the Iowa State defense, Kansas State, Baylor runs an odd front. What do you see there? What do you got to do?
On that, I mean, I see that every single day. Our defense runs an odd front, so I got a bank reps of that. So it really not changes. Doesn't really change for me. Like when we got an odd front, I was like, okay, this is the same thing I deal with practice every single day. I mean, a little bit different is just the techniques on like lifts and stuff like that when I'm double teaming or stuff like that. But in pass pro, I'd rather somebody be right ahead of me than I have to go side to side. So I mean, I like it me personally for to be out front because I get to at least wrestle with the guy and pass pro is a little more.
Had some success against you guys.
Success. I mean, I feel like teams would, kind of like Iowa State, they would kind of like load the box. I mean, everybody knows that we're going to run the ball. We're pretty good up front. So the only way they can beat us is either bring down the safety, bring an extra guy down. So, I mean, it was a couple plays against Cincinnati where we had everybody blocked up, but the only person you had to beat was the safety. I mean, if we get our running backs on the safety, that's a good play. You know what I mean? But when they're feeling fast and they're not worried about the pass, then it's really difficult on us. But at the same time, like we still got to get 5 yards a time. Like we still got to get push. So it really doesn't matter if you load the box. You should be able to run the ball.
Second start for Nico, did you feel a little bit more comfortable with him behind you?
Yeah, for sure. He had a little more confidence coming into this game, you know. I mean, we still have our communication issues and stuff like that, but yeah, he's definitely growing every single time he goes out there. And I think in situations like that, those games where when Garrett's hurt, he comes in, he does a pretty good job. I think coaches do a pretty good job with. I mean, it's a next man up mentality. Like you look around, you see guys stepping up, and you know, Huddy was down, guys went out there and made some big time catches. You know what I mean? So. I think our team, our culture is really predicated on next man up type situations. Yeah.
Happy with your snaps on Saturday? Look pretty solid.
They're better than they were in the last couple of weeks. Now this week I felt a lot better with my grip and everything was going on well body wise. So I felt a lot better with my snaps this week, and you know I keep being consistent in that aspect. But I think it's gotten better this week for sure.
I was going to ask about that. So what did you do throughout the season maybe to clean that up after some issues early?
Beginning of the season, things were going well, and then my snap hand got banged up a little bit, so it affected my grip a little bit. So I had to switch the way I grabbed the ball, and after my hands started feeling better, I think the mental aspects of snap the ball got kind of got onto me because now everybody's watching it, everybody's focused on it. So now in my head, I'm like, okay, now I got to focus on it. You know what I mean? And so I talked to Dr. Sophia, our sports psychologist, and just broke it down for me, made it simpler for me, and we kind of talked throughout this whole last week, and then went into snapping and just wanted to make it simple as possible, and then I went out there and just did a lot better job this week with the mental aspect of snapping the ball, just getting past that mental block after the Iowa State game. And it changed up my grip a little bit, better on my hand. My hand got healthier, so everything was pretty much a lot better this week.
You now feel 100% physical and mental snap-wise?
Yeah. I feel a lot better. Yeah, I feel a lot better.
Did it surprise you that even just this slight change in grip created what ended up being such a difference?
Yeah, it's surprising because it's definitely like, as something like that, like you feel a little different. I would say like if you, you feel different if you're, well, what Dr. Sophia explained it to me is like when you drive a car, right, you don't think about driving the car. But when you get in a situation where you might get in an accident, now you think about driving the car. Now 10 to 2, now I got to think, I got to turn a little bit, press the brake, and that's when things you start getting more accidents that way. But when you think about one fluid motion and just gripping and just doing the same thing I've been doing for a long time, I've been snapping the ball for a long time at this point, and just trying to just be consistent in that aspect and making my grip the way I'm feeling most comfortable, my hand feeling a lot stronger, my grip got a little bit better, so it started to become a lot more fluid, and the mental aspect got a little bit easier for me.
In addition to talking to Dr. Sophia, did you talk to Zach Frazier or anybody else?
Yeah. A lot of guys reached out to me and gave me a lot of advice. Zach definitely reached out and gave me some advice. Talked to a lot of coaches, and you know what I mean. I watched a lot of film, watched a lot of NFL guys, what guys do different. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can snap the ball. A lot of guys are doing a lot of different things with grip and wise. So I just wanted to find something that was best for me. And I think this last game I found something that fit me and fit my game, and definitely made it easier for me.
You talk about, you think of football as you spend all day out there drilling to get fundamentals down and the like. But you talked about going to the team psychologist to get the mental end of what? How did it make it simpler, and how does the mental part play into something that seems like should be rote snapping the ball?
Yeah, I don't know if people have heard of like what yips. So I was in the Iowa State game, like people were telling me to get my snaps down, and I was like, in my head I think I am. So it was I was like I feel like I am. I feel like I'm choking down on it, but I just couldn't get past that mental aspect, and I was like, man. And then my hand was hurting. It was everything was, kind of like the walls were closing down on me. So that became tough, and in my head I'm like, man, like why am I making it so complicated? The next week I was just like, man, I feel like I'm making it way too complicated. I went to talk to Darcia. I'm like, Dr. Sophia. I was like, hey, like I feel like I'm making this way too complicated. I feel like I'm doing a little too much. I feel like I'm more worried about the snap, and I'm doing too much, and I'm snapping hot and high and doing all kinds of things. She was just like, you put so much on your shoulders and too much weight on your shoulders, and you just need to understand, like if you think about something like that, and everybody's talking to you about it, outside forces and people on social media reaching out and saying this and the third about my snaps, it's a lot of weight on your shoulders, and you start thinking about it a lot more. You just need to go out there and realize like it's you snapping the ball, make it a one fluid motion, and before every snap, just think about some one word, like fluid, smooth, something just to really simplify the game for you, and just make sure I stay calm, cool, and composed, and don't let the outside factors come into my game and mess me up and get me in a high anxiety situation where I do mess up the snaps. You know what I mean?
I think the idea that you are filling Zach's shoes added pressure to you in that situation, or were you past that?
Say again?
The fact that you were filling Zach's shoes, and obviously people were looking at, this is a guy that has to fill that spot, and then you start snapping the ball a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Did that add pressure to you, or were you past that by then?
Nah, it wasn't that. It was the main pressure was just, I know I'm a lot better than that, so it wasn't my standard. So to me, it was really just, I was like, man, it's not clicking for me, and in my brain, I was like, I got to fix this. I put more pressure on myself more than anything else, and then the added pressure on top of it, I put a lot of pressure on myself. But only thing I could do was I just went in and did as much work as possible to fix it as immediately as possible, because we don't have time to. I wait weeks to fix something like that. I wanted to fix it right then and there. So I went in there and every single day I went to work, did extra snaps every day, open hours, just extra snaps after practice, did extra snaps, worked on stuff like that. Put myself in high pressure situations in practice, so when I do get in the game, I do get better. I feel like this last game, I feel like I was in a lot better space mentally and physically.
Over top you, a lot of people think he's a first rounder.
Yeah.
How did you fared against him Saturday?
Yeah. I feel like I did a pretty good job. I contained him pretty well. He's a really good player. Credit to him. Like he came back from that blood clot in his lung, and he came out there and did the best he can do. And he's extremely strong player. He's definitely an elite guy. I mean, he's gonna do well in the NFL. Super strong with his hands. I feel like I just did what I needed to do, what my team needed from me. I was going out there and I just wanted to go out there and do my job. Let's do my 111. Everybody else has their job, and my job is to contain Dante Corleone, and that was my whole objective that day. And I feel like I did a pretty good job.
To know that you held your own against a guy people think could be a first rounder.
I mean, I was more boosted that we won. You know what I mean? In a situation like that, I just wanted to win the game. I mean, beating Dante Corleone and that snap doesn't really do much if we don't win the game. You know what I mean? Then the scouts are not like, oh, scouts don't really care about that. I care about if we win the game. And I just want to do my job. And my job was contain Dante Corleone so we can win the game. That's what I needed to do, and that's what I had to do. So.
Earlier in the season, when Coach even mentioned your hand injury that you talked about here, if you had to give it, 0 to 100% health-wise, where do you think you were at that point? Was that playing a role in it at all, or was it more the mental?
It was more like, I would say a little more of my grip. Like it would hurt, but I wouldn't say like I couldn't play. Like I would still be able to block. I would still be able to do the right things. But it was more like it affected my grip way. I had to tape it up. I did something completely different. I had to tape it up kind of weird. That I tried it a couple days before. I snapped pretty well with it, and then went in the game. I think I just overcomplicated it and grip wise, and people started telling me it got high. So I feel like I was trying to overcompensate with gripping it a little too hard, and I feel like I was throwing it back, and I was just.
In retrospect, you shouldn't have been out there or anything like that. Like,
No. I was 100%. I was able to block. I was able to go out there and block and do the right things and snap. I just didn't do the right things at the time.
You had a lot of people, it seems like really kind of circled around you to kind of help you kind of get over not just the physical but the mental. How nice was that? Because I mean, I'm sure that when you're in a position like that, a lot of times you kind of feel on an island. But it seems to me like there were a lot of people, just like not just the psychologists, but Zach calls you, Zach talks to you, coaches talk to you. It seemed there was a lot of really support backing you. How nice was that to have that, so you didn't feel on an island, even though you might have had that risk of feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful to be the position I am. I mean, they know I work hard, I do the right things. They know I'm not going out there purposely trying to ruin the game, stuff like that. So they went in there and they just kind of just circled around me like, hey, like we love you, like you just keep out there playing. We're gonna work on these snaps. They didn't discourage me at all. They didn't. I mean, in film we talked about it, and for sure they crowd around me. And it made me feel good. You know what I mean? Like when there's a lot of outside noise, a lot of things being said on social media, and a lot of articles being written, and you just kind of just had to block it out. And coaches kind of went around me, all my teammates. And just like we went in there and just kind of fixed it up. I just felt a lot better about it, and I felt a lot happier having those guys supporting me. And it's also like it's my first year playing center fully. It's a new position for me. I mean, it's gonna be growing pains, you know what I mean? And they came around me and it was like, we understand. I mean, we understand what's going on. Let's fix it. Let's figure out different ways. Watch a whole bunch of different kind of videos and different kind of snaps and how NFL guys do it. And Zach told me different grip things to do. So, I mean, it just felt good to have that support system.
Are there things a defense can do that totally eliminates the run game? I mean, you mentioned, hey, safety's coming downhill and filling, guys spilling the outside. Does it get to a point where they may do something where you've got to throw it, or do you feel like there's always an answer somewhere in the run game, no matter how many guys they bring down?
I mean, if you look at our start offensive line, like I think we're the answer. You know what I mean? We are able to do things that other offensive lines can't do. I mean, we got Watt Malum on our side. We got Tomas Remak on our side. We got Jaquay Hubbard on our side. We got Nick Malone on our side. You know what I mean? I think that's the neutralizer. I think we are the guys that can elevate this run game. We shouldn't be the reason why our run game isn't doing the right things. You know what I mean? So I think there isn't a neutralizer. Like if you load the box, it shouldn't matter because we have our 5 guys. Like midway through the season, like we was the number one offensive line, and we're gonna continue to keep striving to be number one offensive line in the country, go towards that Joe Moore Award. And I think we have the guys to do that. So we're gonna continue to keep doing that. I don't think we have to pass the ball in situations. I think we should be able to run the ball every single time we get the ball.
I need you to give me some perspective. You block the big guy in the middle usually. Put Mulder in the game in perspective after he's made 13 tackles in that kind of position. What kind of game is that for a nose guard or defensive tackle.
I mean, that's a huge game. Like, you don't ever hear a nose guard making like 13 tackles. I mean, he does a pretty good thing. Like, me and him go back and forth in practice, and when we get after it, he helps me, I help him, and I think that really helped both our games this week. I mean, when we go against Dante, I mean, I think Fatorma's probably one of the strongest guys I've been against ever, and that helped me out this week to go against Dante Corleone, and I feel like I went after him and I blocked him pretty well for him to go out there and go against other centers and do what he needs to do and use your strength and continue to be chasing the ball and doing high effort things. But he's doing a really good job.
What else is it with Fatorma that makes him that effective to do that? Because you're going up against him one-on-one like you are. You mentioned the strength. Is there anything else that makes him stand out as a
I mean, his strength, and he's just like, he's a high IQ guy. Like, he's smart. And he just goes out there and does what he needs to do. He plays a lot of ball. You play a lot of ball like that, like, you can figure out things a lot quicker than some guys that haven't played as much. He definitely has experience on the side. I mean, he's physical. He takes care of his body. I mean, he's just doing the right things right now at the right time.